events, and it involves running as fast as you can, stopping yourself before a line, and letting go of the javelin so that you can throw it as far as possible. So, a javelin. A javelin weighs 600 grams, so it's really light. So, I'll let you guys check it out later, but it's very light, it's very aerodynamic, and they're very specifically made so that the javelin flies perfectly through the air and just soars. But it's very technical, so it's not like throwing a baseball. A lot of people like hit themselves in the back of the head with it by accident, or they're trying, or they have a heck of a time trying to throw this thing. But this is my job and this is my passion, so I'm glad I get to share it with you guys today. So these pictures are from London 2012. I am the first Canadian woman to actually qualify to make the final in javelin. So, and I'm the first one to go since the year of my birth, which was 1988. So I'm born and raised in Vancouver. This is a picture actually taken in front of downtown. This is a picture taken in front of downtown Vancouver, and the tide was out, so it was perfect. And one of my old training partners took it for me. But I love Vancouver. I've spent the majority of my life here. I currently train in Alberta, but that's for the National Training Center, but my heart is always in Vancouver. So I love coming back here and talking to you all about track and field. So when I was younger, I played tons of sports. Played soccer, baseball, basketball, I fenced for a bit, I did breakdancing. And a lot of these things I was pretty good at, but I wasn't amazing at them. It wasn't my thing, but I learned so much from doing every single one of them. So I loved trying hard in sports. I loved giving everything that I was given an opportunity to participate in a real go. So I also played viola, and I'm a firm believer that if you play music, it's really helpful in making your brain stronger, making your brain healthier, and helping you learn how to learn. So I've heard there's music studies about how your brain actually grows when you're younger, and it takes more in and it makes you a smarter person. So I'm really grateful that I had music lessons because I think it actually helped me to become the athlete and the person I am today. These are my parents. So they're in London, and they're in one of the photo booths, or sorry, not the photo booths, one of the phone booths in London, and this is actually after I competed, but they're the cutest people. My parents are really short. They're 5'6" and 5'8". I'm 6'2". So we don't know how I came about, but the joke is they only had one child, so they wanted me to be really big. So, this is my parents. So, because of all these sports that I played when I was younger, they really helped me to become a better athlete. I was already, naturally, I'm very, very strong. That's my thing as an athlete. I'm tall and I'm strong. But I'm not very agile, and as you saw earlier when I tripped over the court, I'm not very coordinated. So, you know, those are things that I had to work on when I was younger so that I could become better at my sport. So soccer helped me coordinate my feet. I did yoga for a while, which made me very flexible so I could get into good positions for javelin. And I played baseball for a really long time, which really helped me with my lower body technique for javelin because they're very similar. So it was very, very helpful. So I first got into javelin in grade 8 gym class. My teacher had us all line up. We all had a javelin, and mine just flew a little bit straighter and didn't flip like other people's. So she said, hey, you should join the track team. So I went, and I messed around with it from grades 8 through 10. And then in grade 10, I had a parent come to the school, and he knew a couple things about javelin. So he taught me a little bit more, gave me a couple tips, and he got me to placing 3rd at the BC high schools when I was in grade 10. So this is a picture of my first BC high schools, and I'm standing here, and I'm pretty sure going through my head is just, I was too excited. I couldn't believe that I finally kind of found something that I was really naturally good at. It was maybe not natural, but you know, it was something that I had accumulated from all the sports that I played when I was younger, and it really helped me to get to this place quickly in javelin. So from that track meet, somebody came up to me and they said, hey, you can go to BC championships for your age group. So it wasn't just all the grades, like BC high school championships, but just 2-year bands. So I went and I won BC championships for my age group and thought, wow, this is great. And then somebody came up to me, and he would later be my coach, and he said, well, you've actually made the provincial team. You can go to nationals. I said, we have nationals? So I had no idea. I didn't even know track and field existed on a national level. So off I went to nationals, thinking, I'd just go and participate, and whatever happened, happened. And I ended up winning. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. So I made all these friends, and I met my coach when I was on the trip. And he said, okay, well, you should really come train with us with our track and field club. So I went and I started training with the Vancouver Thunderbirds. And I stopped doing basketball and soccer and baseball because I found this new thing that I really, really loved. So, this is track and field in Vancouver during the winter. Okay, so these are my friends from high school. These are the people that I used to train with, and they were actually on my first BC team with me, and a lot of them are my friends, and are still my friends. And the thing that I liked the most about track and field was that you're a part of a team, but you get to compete as an individual athlete. So there's this thing in soccer where you have to work as a team together, you really have to unify, and it's really a group that succeeds together, which I think is so amazing, but I have such a hard time with it. So going to track and field was really cool because I got to meet all these like-minded people who, like me, like doing individual sports, but having people around and having their friends around. So it was still a team atmosphere, but it was a bit different. This is an interview from high school. It was my first interview after I won nationals, and track and field was still really new to me, but it was really something special. So they came to my high school and they interviewed me, and Kathy Kovacs is actually now the anchor for CTV News. But yeah, so there's only audio on my computer, so if you guys want to hear it, you have to be really quiet, okay? Okay. Basically, you can see me walking around the halls of Kitsilano High School, which is, have you guys ever seen Kitsilano? Yeah. It's a huge school. It's like a castle in Vancouver. So it's, you see me going to my locker, and I'm this tall, skinny thing, like you saw in the picture. And I just I don't know what I'm doing, and they're asking me questions. And I remember just thinking, why are people so interested in what I'm doing? Because I didn't even know javelin existed before, and I had all these people actually being very interested in my story and how I'd come about doing it. So, hope you have So, I went to UBC. Shh. I can see you. So I went to UBC after a lot of debate. I had offers from all over the states to go to Division I schools and full ride scholarships. I was actually almost set on going to Berkeley in California. And then I decided that UBC is really where I wanted to be because I love Vancouver, it's my hometown. I knew lots of athletes who'd be going to UBC who were from Vancouver, and I wanted to stay with my track and field club. So this little montage of pictures, these are all my old training partners. So the guy on the left with me in the red shirt, he's actually my current training partner right now. And his dad used to coach us, and now he's moved out to Alberta to train with me. The girls in the bottom right are, one of them used to throw javelin, another one used to run, and then this girl right here, that's my friend Jenna. She was my best friend throughout all of high school. She actually lived with me at one point, And she's what made track and field really fun to me. So she used to do the heptathlon, which was 7 events. And she would sometimes get to throw javelin with me, because javelin was one of those events. But she was one of my favorite teammates for a long time. So, this video will work. So when I was at UBC, in UBC we compete in the NAI, and I won the NAIs 4 times, and I set the record for the NAI. And after that, in my final year, I actually hurt my elbow at my last NAIs. And later after that, I actually hurt my back. So I had these 2 years where I was injured and people didn't know if I would ever come back or if I'd ever, improve again or even make it to the Olympics. So it was a really tough time. And this is a video of me throwing when I was injured. And one of the things that you can see, because my back is sore, is that my leg bends when I throw, and it's supposed to be really, really straight. And the other thing is you'll see my elbow is all bandaged up because I needed to try and hold it together because it was really sore from hurting it at my school championships. This is slow-mo. Looks painful, right? Okay, so when I was all injured and I didn't know what to do with myself, and I decided I need to change because I wanted to go to the Olympics. I decided that this was my passion and that I wanted to make this work. So Lethbridge is in Alberta, and it's 2 hours below Calgary, so it's right at the bottom of Alberta. And Lethbridge is a town of, or I guess it's a city, of 90,000 people, and it has a university, and it has a farming community, and it has a national training center for throws. But that's about it. So I told my friends and family that I wanted to move to the national training center, and they said, "What? You want to move?" They were astounded that a girl from Vancouver actually wanted to move to Lethbridge. And so I packed up my car, and 10 days later, I was there and I was ready to train. So this is where I throw. This is every single time I'm practicing. This is 10 days a week, Monday through Friday. I'm in this gym, and we throw into a net. So we roll out mats that are track and field material. We put on our spikes, and we throw into this net. So that's my training partner, Kyle, and he's throwing an indoor javelin into a net. So we wake up every single day, and we go to practice at either 6 or 7:30. So I have to wake up at 5, and we get there, and we kind of rub the sleep out of our eyes and warm up. We throw, and then we go and we lift. And lifting takes just as much time as it does throwing, because you have to be very strong to throw a javelin. Because if you're not strong, you can hurt yourself. So going to Lethbridge was a way for me to get on a really good program so I could get stronger and be safer with my body. So, when I was your age, my mom had this rule. And the rule was, you only have to try one bite. And then you don't have to eat it if you really don't like it. But I ended up trying so many foods when I was younger that I actually ended up just liking everything. And I only don't like black licorice, bell peppers, and salt and vinegar chips. That's it. I know, right? I can't eat salt and vinegar chips. I don't know how anybody does it. But anyway, so in high school, I also realized that I was gluten and lactose intolerant. So that means that I have a really hard time eating dairy, and I have a really hard time eating wheat. And I noticed that my energy levels would just drop at about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I would get so tired. And so I decided to start kind of taking them out of my diet and just only eating it once in a while. So this is a meal that I have quite often. Make huge salads, because when I get home and I've been at the gym for 3 or 4 hours, I just want to eat. I don't want to cook. So In this salad, there's chicken, black beans, corn, tomatoes, quinoa, cucumbers, kale. There's everything I could possibly get so I can get as many nutrients as possible into one big bowl. So, how many of you, by show of hands, do you think would actually enjoy eating a meal like that? Yeah? You try a bite? Okay, good. Okay, so cross your fingers that this works. So in track and field, when we go to the gym, we do lots of lifts. So these lifts can be cleans or squats or split jerks. So a clean, you see those really big barbells, and you lift them off the ground and you pick it up and you catch it. A squat is when you put a bar behind your back and you just sit up and down with it. This is called a split jerk. I started doing them last year, and this is my personal best. It's 240 pounds. Okay? So cross your fingers that this video works. So that's the video. I love lifting just as much as I love throwing javelin because one helps me do the other. And I'm one of those people that I don't think a lot of the time I see something and I just love it no matter what, just because I'm drawn to it. I feel like I actually like something because I'm good at it. And, you know, people say sometimes it's a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing. I think it spurs you on to be better. And it, you know, if you're kind of good at something, it makes you want to be a little better every single time. And you can set new goals for yourself. So it's nice to find things that you really enjoy. So we call this the cruelest joke at the university because the gym is at the bottom floor. So after you've been there for 7 hours during the day and you just want to go home and eat and sleep, you have to go up these last 20 steps and it feels like 100. It might as well be 1,000 you're looking at there. So we think this is the funniest thing about training every single day. We all just walk back out from the gym and go like this. But this was actually last Friday. So Fridays are the hardest because it's our last practices, then we get to go home and relax the weekend. But on days where I just don't want to work out, because everybody has those days where sometimes they just don't want to do it, or you're sore, or you're injured, and you need a little extra boost. So when I have these days and I have to find a way to love practice in a different way, because maybe I just don't feel like throwing today, I dress up. So whenever, a lot of the time when I go to practice on a Friday, or I'm injured, because if you look at my foot, you can see some bright tape. It hurt my foot. This is how I get through it. So you can always find new ways to make something fun, or new ways to motivate yourself. So no shame in having fun while you're doing your job or what you love. So you guys can see the really big bruise? Okay, so that was January this year. So in January this year, I was at my training, and one of my training partners, he throws hammer. So the hammer is a big ball, and it weighs about 16 pounds. So it's really heavy, and he is the Canadian record holder for hammer. And I was standing in the wrong place, and the wire to his hammer snapped. So a hammer is a ball on the end of a chain, and you spin it around, and you spin with it, and then you let it go. So his wire snapped, and it hit me in the leg. Yeah, I was a little surprised. So I got up, and I walked on it, and I said, okay, it's not broken, this is okay. And my coach comes up to me, and he says, it's a good thing it's not broken, because if you were an any lesser-sized human being, you would have broken your leg. So thank God for strong legs. But I went immediately to the ice bath, and my best friend, who happens to work at the gym, saw me walking or limping to the ice bath. And she just ran out of the gym, came and saw me as I hopped in the ice bath, because that's how you reduce swelling, so that you can make sure that it doesn't get as bad as it possibly could be. And she looked up at me, and she'd seen me training all year. She knew I wanted to go to the Olympics. She knew how hard I worked. And we just started crying, just tears streaming from her eyes. And I remember I went to sleep that night. I was really upset. And then I woke up the next morning and I thought, no, I moved to Lethbridge. I changed my life. I made this commitment and I'm going to make it to the Olympics. So I stopped the pity party immediately and I got onto it. I was in physio every single day. I did any part of my workout that I could still do with my upper body. I iced. I couldn't walk. So when your leg is this badly injured, it's called dead leg because your muscle actually stops contracting. So after 2 months, my leg finally worked again and I was able to go and actually start back up training. And to my surprise, I actually hadn't lost too much because I'd been there and visualizing and working so hard on it. I was still in the zone, I was still strong, and I was still able to keep going with the work I'd done. So this is the cover of my cell phone, and that is the background. So it says, do what they won't today, so tomorrow you can do what they can't. This was my motto for this entire year. Every single time I was too tired to lift, I would go and do it anyway because I would see it on my cell phone and I would see it in the background to my music. So everything I did was about this. If you want to be better than somebody else, you just have to train harder. It doesn't matter. Hey guys? So if you want to be the best at whatever you do, it doesn't matter whether it's music or sports or drawing or school. If you put in the most effort and you try harder than anybody else and you make something you love, what you're going to be dedicated to, I truly believe that it'll work out and you'll probably be the best out there. Doesn't matter what it is. So, this summer when I was competing, we didn't know if it was going to work out. So, my very first competition was in Lethbridge, and it was kind of just a trial run. Or no, wait, it wasn't. It was in Phoenix, and it was a trial run. And on my very first throw, I had a personal best, and I threw just a couple centimeters over my previous personal best of 58 meters. So I knew that even though that throw only felt okay, it was a personal best, I knew that there was a lot more left. And that summer, I ended up making the Olympic standards, and I ended up breaking the Canadian record 2 times. So I pushed through that injury, and I made it the best year of my life. I remember actually when I qualified to make the Olympics, I had to throw 59 meters twice, and on my second throw for 59 meters, my coach called it out because he was at the meet and he was running the meet, and he called out that I threw 59.03. So I made the Olympics by this much. And it was the best moment. I remember I just started crying and calling my parents and calling my roommates and calling my friends from back home, and they were so proud of me because of all I'd done to really accomplish my dream and truly go after it. So this video is of me making the Olympic final. So I'm in the qualifier, and you'll see from this throw versus the last throw I showed you, but it's very quick, you'll see that I have a really straight left leg. And that's a huge thing in track and field for javelin. That's exactly how you want to throw, and it's a big technical part of moving to Lethbridge and learning how to throw properly. I'm not going to make this bigger because I'm afraid it's going to stop working.
Proficient technical ability to go beyond the 60-meter mark, very close to
I like that. So in the village, when we got there, it didn't even feel like we were at the Olympics. We just felt like we were in this amazing space with all these really fit people walking around and all these different countries walking around with their flags and their clothing. And this moose was at the very front of the Canadian house of the Olympic Village. And we named him Anonymous. I wanted to call him Manny the Moose, but Anonymous was the voted for name. But we loved him, and everybody was taking pictures with him. People would come from all over the village, which would take about 15 minutes to even just walk across, to take a picture with Manny, our moose. On the bottom, that was the view from my room. So I could look into the village, and all those buildings far back are other athlete residences. So every morning I'd wake up, walk out onto my deck, and just kind of stand there and look out and be happy and amazed that I was at the Olympics and I was there to compete. My favorite part about the village, though, was the cafeteria. And that's not because of the food. You would go to the cafeteria and you could sit there for an hour and a half and just look at all the people. Because there'd be famous athletes, or you could guess different athletes, or you could just sit there and just people watch. It was amazing. So I saw LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Milos Raonic, Hope Solo. So tons of people that you would just see walking around the village that you'd never seen before except for on TV or in magazines. So very cool. That's what I thought. So this was the moment that I realized that I was really at the Olympics. The village was incredibly cool and a very neat place to be. But when I went to go cheer on my hammer throwing teammate, Jim Stacy, the guy who tried to buffer me out of the Olympics, just kidding. I went to go cheer him on, and my coach actually was walking ahead of me. And he'd walked down the stairs, and he didn't realize until halfway when he was down the stairs that I was just kind of stopping and staring at the torch. And he looked around, where's Liz? So there I was at the top, and this was the moment that I realized that I was here to compete at the Olympics. And it hit me, because this was the first time I was seeing the stadium and the torch. And I remember just being in awe of how beautiful it was and how fortunate I was to be here. So that was one of my favorite moments of the entire games. So this was the stadium, if you guys can see it on TV. The javelin runway is actually right here. This is where you're from, and that's the whole field. So we were front and center. And when I was competing, or actually when I walked into the stadium, I remember just hearing 80,000 people cheer. And it actually, when you were holding a water glass, you could see the water moving because of all the people cheering. All the sound waves would make the water move. It was amazing. So we walked in and we set up. And for the final for javelin, I was the youngest. I was 23 and the oldest person was 31. And I was the only one who hadn't been to the Beijing Olympic Games. So I was the new kid, and nobody knew who I was, and they were all kind of looking at me like, where did you come from? So it was pretty special. And when I was actually in the final, we were timed to go directly after the men's 200-meter final. So for the final, I stood right here, where the officials are, and I watched Usain Bolt run all the way around the track and win it. And it was amazing. You don't even realize how fast these guys are moving until you see them live. It's ridiculous. It's like horse speed. It's amazing. So I got a front seat to watch the final for the 200. But ended up finishing 12th in the final, which wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was pretty great because, hey, I made the final and that was the main goal for this Games. So whatever happened, happened, and I am very, very happy that I made it that far. So these were my competitors. On the right, the blonde one with the short hair, that is the world record holder, Spotakova, and she has a world record of 72 meters. Yeah. So my personal record is 61, but the difference is that maybe only 20 people in the world, maybe less, can throw over 63 meters. And then there's another 20 people between 63 meters and 60. So to get out of that zone is really important, and to be this young and in that zone and ready to make the next jump is perfect because I'm in that stage of my life. The other two are the Russian, who's actually won the Olympics before, I think in 2008, and a German woman named Christina Oberthal. So these are the people that I grew up watching, that I wanted to be when I was younger, when I was in high school. And I realized when I got there that my coach had told me something. He said, you can't be what you're in awe of. And so when I got there and I saw these women and we were all ready to go compete together, I realized that I was one of them, and then I was now one of their competitors and not, my younger self looking up to them. And it was an incredible moment to realize that I was on the world stage with them, not just watching them. So that's me after qualifying for the Olympic final. Everybody was blowing kisses, so I decided to blow one, and all my friends thought that I was blowing it to them, but I think it was for my mom. So when I was done competing, I went through all the media, which is it's almost half a kilometer of walking just to get through all the media. It's insane. They're asking you questions, you're doing TV interviews, and at the end of it, I found my coach. And he was just so proud of me, and I don't think I've ever seen my coach that proud of me, because normally he makes fun of me because I'm tripping over my own feet, or he'll tell me that I'm weak as a joke, but I don't think I've ever seen him more genuinely happy to cheer me on, and I know that all his hard work really helps me, and that he always has my best interests at heart. So he took me to go see my parents, saw my parents, and they were proud of me, everybody was hugging, and then I went to go find my friends. So I had, I think, 9 people come with me and watch me at the Olympics, and from left to right, I have my cousin Julie, my friend Allison, and my roommate Heidi. And Heidi was the girl who was there for everything, the girl who saw me crying in the ice bath. And this time when she saw me, she came all the way out to basically go on vacation with my parents and to watch me at the Olympics. And when we saw each other, when she didn't expect to see me after my competition, and I came up in surprise in the stands, we just looked at each other and we started crying again. But this time it was out of happiness that after everything we'd gone through together, after always being there for me, we'd finally made it, and it was one of the best moments. So the closing ceremonies, probably one of the most fun nights of my life. It's amazing to be with all these people who finally finished competing and have gone through the same thing as you. They've put in sacrifice, hard work, and they've done something very incredible, and now they just want to have fun, they want to take a break, and you all get to take a break together in matching jean jackets. So, in the top picture is my roommate from the Games, Jenna Martin. She ran the 400. And on my other side of that picture is Mark Tewksbury, who actually won a gold medal for swimming back in the, I think it was 80s. But he was our chef de mission, which means he looked after us. So anything we needed, he'd look after it. And he'd come cheer us on, he'd go tell us how to get places and how to go cheer on our teammates. He was actually one of the first people I met going to the Olympics. I was sitting in coach on the plane, and he went and he saw me sitting in the back, and he's like, I'll be right back. So he goes, sneaks off, I see him talking to a flight attendant, and he comes back, and he's like, you've been upgraded to first class. So that was the first time I met Mark Tewksbury. So amazing guy, really looks after all the athletes. In these other pictures, there's Jessica Zelinka, who did the heptathlon up top. Jim Stacy, the really strong-looking guy. That was the guy who threw hammer. And then Brent Hayden and Scott and Dickens. And they were swimmers. They were also my floor mates. So I got to see those guys every day. We all got to hang out together and have a big barbecue when all of the closing ceremonies was done. We stayed up all night and just hung out and listened to music and stayed together as a team. So, the next Summer Games are in Rio in 2016. So, Rio is in Brazil. I'm almost done, guys. So, Rio is in Brazil, and it is my goal to be at the next Olympic Games. And I don't just want to be in the next Olympic Games or just make the final. This time I want to go back and I want a medal. So that's my goal, and for the next 4 years I will be lifting and throwing and eating healthy and looking after myself so I can go and represent Canada and all of you, and hopefully you'll be watching me. So thank you so much.
Great. So after all that, I hope you've learned something from this morning's presentation, that perseverance does pay off, and that sometimes we do have to have a goal in mind, and however hard it is, we can accomplish whatever we want. It's a matter of time. And thank you very much, Liz, for such a lovely presentation and to share.
Yeah? The scared javelin with the stab in the foot. Well, I've made a fool of myself many ways throwing javelin. I haven't stabbed myself in the foot yet, but I have hit myself in the back of the head. When I was at a competition, I was running, and I actually tripped over my own 2 feet and rolled over the line. I've done lots of silly things with javelin, but no, not scared, not yet. Yeah? I did actually met him. He was really, really nice. I remember I just saw him, he walked out of the Canadian house, and I kind of went, oh, hi. And yeah, genuinely great guy, and he was actually only at the Olympics for a couple days just to compete, and then he went off to go do another tournament, so very, very dedicated athlete. When we run, we try and make sure that we don't step over the line. So a very set runway. The exact number of steps I'm going to do. And yeah, I only get nervous when I have to try and make the standard. So when I was trying to qualify for the Olympics, I was really nervous when I was going to make it. But as soon as I had my marks and I knew that I was going to be in the team, I love big games. I love big competitions. And it's such an adrenaline rush. It's such a kick to me to be able to compete in front of so many people. So I don't get nervous at the games. I think I'm so for that. I love the attention. The guy who's going to be grade 8. Yeah? Cool. Okay. Yeah? Yeah. I got to meet Rosie. She's pretty funny. We actually have, I met Rosie when we were in Toronto. We went to the Olympic parade. And did you guys ever see the Call Me Maybe Canadian Athletes video? No. Okay. So the Call Me Maybe video, Carly Jackson, the artist, asked the Canadian team to make a video. So you guys can go and YouTube it when you're at home, but you can see me in it and you can see Rosie. That's when I met her. Because she was, she had a gold medal on and she was climbing around with the rowers and dancing, and they were all in the video together. We were all in the train going from Ottawa to Toronto, so that's where I met her. Yeah. You guys want to go to the turn? No, I didn't. I saw Ryan Lochte though. He's not a circus mover. Yeah? Remember the first win? When what? My first national win, I was 15, so 2004.